The notification arrived on a Tuesday morning. Benefits adjusted. New monthly amount, $24, not $240. 24. For an entire month of food, the government had just allocated less than the cost of a large pizza. And there was no warning, no letter explaining why, no phone number to call that wouldn't leave someone on hold for 3 hours before disconnecting, just a number on a screen that didn't make sense. 6 weeks earlier, everything had been manageable. $300 a month in SNAP benefits wasn't wealth, but it was survival, enough for groceries, enough to plan meals, buy fresh vegetables occasionally, maybe even afford chicken when it was on sale, enough to feel human. The person receiving these benefits had been careful, budgeting down to the dollar, shopping sales, stretching every purchase as far as it would go. Then the system recalculated, and suddenly, survival required a completely different strategy. $24 breaks down to 80 cents per day. 80 cents doesn't buy a coffee. It doesn't buy a gallon of milk. It barely covers a single can of soup at most grocery stores. The math became impossible immediately. Even the cheapest possible diet, instant ramen at roughly 20 cents per packet, would only provide 30 days of one meal. That left nothing for breakfast. Nothing for dinner. Nothing for the basic nutrition a human body needs to function. The realization hit in waves. First, the shock. Then the anger. Then the cold, creeping fear that comes with understanding just how thin the margin between stability and crisis really is. This wasn't about luxury. This wasn't about restaurant meals or organic produce or anything resembling choice. This was about whether eating every day was even possible. The cut to $24 wasn't random. It's the minimum SNAP benefit for certain household sizes, typically single individuals or couples without children. The benefit calculation formula considers income, expenses, and household composition. When any of those variables shift, the entire benefit can collapse. Maybe there was a slight increase in reported income. Maybe a household member moved out. Maybe an automatic rent deduction was removed from the calculation. The system doesn't explain itself. It just recalculates and moves on. For the people affected, there's rarely any indication of what changed or why. Just a new number that fundamentally alters what survival looks like. And here's what makes it worse. Challenging the decision means paperwork, phone calls, possibly an in-person interview. It means navigating a bureaucracy designed more for administration than for the people it serves. It means waiting, sometimes weeks, while still needing to eat every single day. The pantry inventory became a lifeline. Dry rice, dry beans, flour, yeast. These weren't ingredients for a cooking show. They were the foundation of a crisis budget, the kind of food that requires time, effort, and knowledge to transform into actual meals. The kind of food that keeps someone alive but doesn't particularly nourish them. Rice and beans together form a complete protein. That's something. With the flour and yeast, homemade bread becomes possible, cheaper than store-bought, though it requires the time and energy that poverty tends to drain from a person. But even with these staples already in hand, the $24 had to stretch impossibly far. Cooking oil, salt, anything to provide variety. Maybe eggs, which offer protein and fat. Maybe a few potatoes. Maybe dried lentils to supplement the beans. Every purchase became a calculation of calories per dollar. Nutrition became secondary to sheer survival. Then there were the invisible costs. A diet of rice, beans, and bread might keep someone breathing, but it doesn't keep them healthy. Vitamin deficiencies don't announce themselves immediately. They creep in slowly. Vitamin C deficiency leads to fatigue, weakened immunity, eventually scurvy. It comes from lack of fresh fruits and vegetables, exactly what disappears first on an extreme budget. Vitamin A deficiency affects vision and immune function. It's found in dairy, eggs, and orange vegetables, all expensive relative to rice and beans. B vitamins, iron, calcium, healthy fats, all of them essential, all of them difficult to obtain when the budget allows for almost nothing beyond bulk starches. The body begins to run on fumes. Energy drops. Concentration wavers. The ability to work, to problem solve, to escape the situation, all of it becomes harder. Poverty doesn't just limit options, it compounds itself. Food pantries became the next stop. Most operate on a once-per-month basis. Some offer fresh produce, many don't. The selection depends entirely on donations and what's available through food rescue programs. There's no guarantee of variety or nutrition, only volume. But volume matters when the alternative is hunger. The calculus shifted again. If the pantry provided rice and beans regularly, maybe the $24 could go toward eggs and oil. Maybe a bag of frozen vegetables when on sale, $1 per pound if lucky. Maybe a multivitamin, though that feels like a luxury when the same money could buy actual food. Some discovered community fridges. Others found blessing boxes in neighborhoods. A few churches offered free meals on certain days, but all of this required transportation, time, and the emotional toll of repeatedly asking for help, of standing in line, of explaining the situation over and over, of feeling the weight of a system that had decided they deserved exactly 80 cents per day for food. The deeper question lingered underneath everything else. How does this happen in a country with this much wealth? The SNAP program was designed as a nutritional safety net. The N stands for nutrition, yet the minimum benefit couldn't possibly provide adequate nutrition by any reasonable standard. It was a placeholder, a bureaucratic minimum that acknowledged existence without actually supporting life. For some recipients, the cut from $300 to $24 represented an administrative correction. The system decided they no longer qualified for emergency allotments or certain deductions. For others, it was a reporting issue, a change in circumstances that triggered a recalculation they didn't understand. And for a few, it was simply a mistake that would take months to fix while they survived on nothing. The system isn't designed for rapid response. It's designed for process. Here's what $24 actually buys when every cent matters. A dozen eggs, $2.50. That's protein for maybe 6 days if stretched. 5 pounds of rice, $4, a month's worth of bulk calories. 2 pounds of dry beans, $2. Protein and fiber, a bottle of cooking oil, $3, essential for calories and cooking. Salt and basic seasonings, $2. That's $13.50 spent with $10.50 remaining. Flour for bread, already available from the pantry. Yeast, same. Maybe use the remaining money for a bag of frozen vegetables, a few potatoes, or a small amount of peanut butter for calorie density and protein. It's survival, nothing more, no fresh fruit, no dairy beyond the eggs. No variety, no joy, no buffer for the unexpected, no room for anything to go wrong. The reality of living on $24 per month for food isn't about making sacrifices. It's about making impossible choices every single day. It's about the body slowly depleting itself because adequate nutrition isn't possible. It's about the mental exhaustion of constant calculation. It's about the isolation that comes from being unable to share meals with others or accept invitations that involve food. It's about skipping meals and calling it intermittent fasting, about drinking water to feel full, about going to bed early because sleeping means not being hungry, and it's about the knowledge that this system, the one designed to help, has decided this is sufficient. For some, the situation eventually resolves. Appeals get processed. Mistakes get corrected. Benefits return to sustainable levels. For others, $24 becomes the long-term reality, the thing they build their entire life around, the constraint that shapes every decision. The question isn't whether someone can survive on it. The question is what survival costs when the system decides you're worth 80 cents a day.